Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Tutoring and Study Skills Workshop. This is our second workshop series for the spring 2023 semester. I'm Ryan Sisk for most of you. I think I've met all of you in here. And we also have a guest today. We have Abby Davidson. Since Abby will be going first, I'll hand it off to her so she can introduce herself.
Hey y'all, I'm Abby. Nice to meet you. Hold on one second, like 20 minutes. I'll come find you. I am in my office here in the MAPS office in the Life Science building, and I am here to chat with you a little bit about tutoring and MAPS, and then answer any questions you all might have. Rianne, do you have the presentation, or would you like me to pull it up on my screen? What would you prefer?
If you would like to pull it up, that'd be great.
Yeah, do you want to give me presenter access so I can do that?
You should have share screen access.
Okay, let me try it out, see if it works here. Perfect. You all should see a Google screen here.
Yes, looks great.
Fantastic. So let me full screen this. Okay, here we go. So yes, I am excited to chat with you all a little bit about tutoring and MAPS. I kind of put a little smorgasbord together. And feel free, as you have questions, to unmute yourself, ask me anything, and then of course we'll have time at the end as well. So my goal for today is to introduce you to CSU Pueblo Tutoring, how it all works, learn a little bit about all the different tutoring resources we have. We have quite a few on campus, so just want to make sure everybody is aware of all of those. How you access tutoring, now that is through the Starfish platform, so talk a little bit about that. Making the most of tutoring. So what are some ways that you can prepare to get the most out of tutoring when you go to tutoring centers? And then I'm going to pivot a little bit and chat about the MAPS grant, which is a STEM grant that we have funded through the Department of Ed, and introduce you a little bit about what we do, some of the key people that are on the MAPS team, some of our programs, and then we'll close with doing some Q&A if you have any. So something I love to tell students about, and really to tell anybody about, because I'm really proud of it here at CSU Pueblo, is that at a lot of places, there's just kind of like one monstrous tutoring center, whereas I'll do my experience. I went to UNC, I loved it there, great school. I remember my first year as a biology major, I needed some help in chemistry, and so I made a tutoring appointment, and it was in this like huge office thing that was like a doctor's office in the basement of their library. And I walk in, and I felt like I was sitting like in a waiting room of a doctor's office. I just got super intimidated and nervous, and I don't even think I followed through with that appointment because it just did not feel good. So that's different than what we do here. We have small scale content specific tutoring centers here that are usually based where you're taking your classes. So, you know, there's a picture of a group of tutors from a number of years ago outside of the Science Learning Center. And so we specifically in the Science Learning Center, we are in the Life Science building. We're right in the main thoroughfare where a lot of biology and chemistry and physics students are going. And so it makes it easier, makes it less intimidating. It's peer led. So it's all tutors, it's all college students that are doing the tutoring. So it just feels more comfortable. And we know that that's one of the key things that helps students to feel more comfortable getting help, is in a kind of smaller scale, more community-based space. So that's something we really focus here on at CSU Pueblo. So if you are not familiar with all the different tutoring resources we have, I kind of broke it down by college here. So within the College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, so CHAS, we have the CHAS Learning Center, and that's led by HB, Professor Hopkins Bowers. She's an English faculty, and she also coordinates tutoring. And then they are co-located with the Language Center, led by Professor Jorge Arroyo, and he teaches world languages, and they are co-located in the IHHI building, second floor. Don't remember the room offhand, but if you go upstairs in the IHHI building, you're going to find the CHAS Learning Center and Writing Center. So good group of folks there. Within the College of Health, Education, and Nursing, we have essentially 3 different tutoring areas. So for health science and human movement students, we have tutoring specifically for exercise science, athletic training, all of those classes. And that is led by Professor Twilliger, Dr. Twilliger. She's got a team of tutors and they are over in the Massari building. So room 270, I know that one offhand. And then in School of Nursing, we have nursing tutoring. We have both undergraduate nursing tutors and graduate nursing tutors that help with the classes. And they just kind of created a new space. They are on the 3rd floor of the library. They have their own kind of space in that open floor area for doing tutoring, and they also do online tutoring as well. And then Mr. John Redmond Palmer oversees tutoring in the School of Education. So he does work on like getting portfolios ready, doing tutoring for the classes, getting ready to take the praxis, which is the test that you take to certify as a teacher. So a lot of support within the Chen College, as we call it. And then in the STEM college, we also have different tutoring centers. So I oversee the Science Learning Center that I showed you all a picture of before. We also have the Math Learning Center, and that's led by Professor Buchholz, and that's over in the Physics Math building, room 132. And then we also have tutoring for engineering, civil engineering, and construction management, and that's led by Professor Sparks. And some of those tutors are located in the link. So civil engineering and construction management, they do their hours over in the link, which is the 2nd floor of the library. And then my engineering tutors are co-located in the Math Learning Center with Professor Buchholz. So the reason that they're kind of split up is that you all know perhaps that the technology building is down right now. It's being renovated. So when that building is finished, the tutoring for engineering, civil engineering, construction management will move into a nice student space in there. Okay, and then Hassan School of Business, they have a tutoring program as well. That's led by Nick Lagrasso, and they just hired a new undergraduate advisor. So he will be taking over tutoring this semester. And they really utilize those study rooms. Right when you walk into HSB, there's some nice study rooms right there. And that's where the tutors offer their support primarily, in addition to online. And then TRIO, of course, is led by, the tutoring is led by Marissa Nunn. And that is for students that are part of the TRIO programs, and they help with any classes. So that's a quick recap of all the tutors we have, the tutoring centers. So we have a lot. We have 10 tutoring centers. We also have a ton of other student support resources. So I've created a little cheat sheet here. If you scan this with your phones, it'll bring you to a little cheat sheet of all the different resources you have. And I'll make sure that Rianne has this presentation as well. So if you wanted to look back and refer to any of this, you'll have it as well. Okay, so accessing tutoring, this has changed a little bit for those that have been around for from the fall semester to this semester. Is that we have integrated tutoring within the Starfish platform. So Starfish is where you go for course management. So that's where professors do their early alerts. They do flags of referrals and kudos. That's also the place where we do tutoring support now. So we just transitioned over the winter break from the other platform, WC Online, to Starfish. And so it's going well so far. It takes a little bit of practice getting used to using the platform in this way. So I have right here, if you scan this QR code, an access guide that will walk you through the process of getting onto Starfish and booking tutoring. But you don't have to make tutoring appointments ahead of time, especially for any of the daytime hours of all the tutoring centers I listed. Just show up, just go and get some support. And there's going to be little login kiosks, little iPads that you sign in, and it's really straightforward when you sign in those kiosks. It will just ask for your net ID, so that's C number and your last name. And the cool thing is it's going to actually pull up your class list for right now and say, what class are you getting tutoring for? And it associates that tutoring visit with that class. And so that's really helpful. So for example, sometimes professors will ask the tutoring coordinators, you know, what students have been coming in for my class, and they'll do things like give extra credit or things like that. So it's very good to show that you're getting support for your classes. Okay, so thinking about making the most out of tutoring, you need to remember that asking for help and recognizing when you need help is an indicator of a successful student. Okay, a lot of times what we'll do is feel like, oh, nope, I'm not getting it. And instead of addressing it head on and saying, okay, what are my resources? Can I go to the professor? Can I get tutoring? What do I need? You gotta address those feelings and get that support. And so what I tend to see with tutoring is that the earlier you get support in the semester, the more helpful it is, because you build it into the rhythm and the structure of your week. And you find out those days and times and the different tutors you like to work with. So get started. If you haven't gone yet, you're not too late. This is great timing to start making use of some tutoring for any classes that you're feeling like, oh, I could use a little help on. Okay. And remember that during the day, we have drop-in support. And then a lot of the tutoring centers also offer online hours on the evenings and weekends. So you'll see that if you go on to Starfish, or if you want to stop in and chat with any of the tutoring centers, they'll be able to provide you the schedules and let you know some stuff. When you go into tutoring, I recommend bringing your course materials with you. So if you have a textbook, if you have your notes, things like that, because in addition to helping with the content, the questions that you might have, maybe homework questions, it's really helpful for you to sit down with a tutor and show them, hey, how are you? What are you doing with your notes? How are you organizing your stuff? How are you kind of preparing going into class? What do you do after? Because a lot of times the tutors can really help you to develop really good strategies around approaching the classes. And then, with tutoring, know the difference between a tutor and a professor. Tutors are peer mentors. They have taken the classes that you're coming in for support, but they don't have PhDs in this. They know, they are familiar. They're typically top performers in those classes, but understand that if you have content, you really need to have relearn the materials, things like that. I strongly recommend going to your professor, using office hours, and also doing tutoring. But understand that tutors are peer mentors, and they're there to help you with some of the questions, but are really there to help you figure out how you're approaching the problems, how to organize, and to help you with that problem solving process. Okay. All right. Any questions on tutoring before I move on to maps? Anything, if you come up with anything, feel free to pop in. So I'm going to pivot over to MAPS. As I mentioned before, we love our acronyms, but it stands for Mentoring, Access, and Platforms in STEM. And so it's a 5-year grant that's funded through the Department of Education. And our goal is to increase STEM student success by retaining, so helping you all to stay in college and also to graduate from college with STEM degrees. So what do we do? How do we go about that? Well, we have a team of staff and faculty that offer high impact programming that are focused on helping you to really engage and feel connected here and to be successful here. So we do a lot of different things, and I'll introduce you to the different areas. We have paid research experiences that's through the Foundry. We really focus in on mental health and wellness through our Center for STEM Support. And I'll introduce you to the team and give you more info on that. We do a lot of support and mentorship for transfer students coming to CSU Pueblo. We do tutoring support through the Science Learning Center, and we do a lot of community engagement through activities like Science Olympiad. So this is the team that you see here. I'm the director. Molly Becker is our STEM counseling specialist. So she is a licensed clinical counselor, and her focus is on expanding mental health and wellness support for STEM students. And so she actively is seeing a lot of students for STEM. Shelby is our director for the Center for STEM Support, and they do a lot of collaborating with Molly to do that mental health and wellness, but they also do a lot of wraparound and referral services. Shelby's background is in case management, and so incorporating a lot of their expertise in the work here. Linda Hanafius is our program manager. So she's the one that is the master of budgets, master of contracts, all of those things that are behind the scenes that keep things moving. Dr. Jim Carcella is our director of the Foundry, and so that's our research program that we have as part of MAPS. Miss Christy Sperber is a chemistry professor, and she also is in charge of our SoCo STEM Consortium, which is our transfer students and transfer collaborations with our community college partners. And then I don't have him pictured here, but he just came here actually from Finland. Dr. Safe is a visiting professor that we are supporting through MAPS, and he is going to be working with the engineering department to develop a new program in data science and artificial intelligence. Okay, so thinking a little bit about the Center for STEM Support, focusing in on the mental health and wellness piece, is their goal is to provide holistic support services to all STEM students. So creating a safe and supportive environment. Some of the key things that they offer is individual counseling support, case management, academic support, strong interest inventory. So that is a really helpful assessment that you can meet with Molly specifically and go through and figure out what should I do, what could I do with kind of my interest and background, and to kind of identify what your strengths are and what are some potential career opportunities that maybe to think about for next steps. We have a calm room. So if you come into my office here, just around the corner, that direction, we have what's called a calm room, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a de-escalation room where you can sit down and chill and just regroup. We know how stressful life gets and how stressful college gets. And so it's just a safe space to go into, close the door, relax a little bit. There's a kind of some nice like waterfall noises, some aromatherapy, and some really nice like sensory stuff to kind of help you to mentally de-escalate. We do support for faculty and staff as well for mental health and wellness and trainings. And then Maps the Legend is a really nice interactive newsletter that Shelby's been really using to just create and put a lot of resources in terms of internships, opportunities, events, shout outs of clubs, all sorts of stuff. We're just trying to better communicate all the things that are happening within STEM on that. And then the Foundry is that research wing that I'd mentioned. And so there's kind of 4 different lobes of the Foundry. The STEM PAC is our undergraduate research. So we have, I think 24 faculty within the STEM college that are active faculty mentors with us that are mentoring. We have about 70 students in our undergraduate research program. And so that's paid research opportunities. The application to join the Foundry opens at the end of every semester and ahead of the summer intensive. So we will be accepting new students to join us for the summer. It is paid as a monthly stipend. And then there's a summer research intensive where you're paid more to essentially be a full-time research student in the summer. And we do a ton of support through the Foundry. That's really our key area of interacting with students. We have STEM Works, which is internship placement. So we have some clinical internships that we're establishing within STEM. We have some pre-vet internships that are lined up and are going to be starting with the veterinarians at the Pueblo Zoo, at the Raptor Center, and a couple veterinary clinics here in town. Oh, I forgot that I have slides for all of these. I don't need to use more. We have the Foundry community projects. And so these are research, right, where you're going to be working with a faculty mentor here, but you're going into the community to do community-based testing and research. So there's going to be some research on cancer around the Superfund site. There is water testing from the Fountain Creek, and there's additional projects. So that's a really cool program to get involved in. And you'd apply for that in the same way through the Foundry application that will open towards the end of the semester. And I mentioned the internships already. And then the last piece of the Foundry is Founders, which is the entrepreneurial wing. And this is really interesting, especially for engineering or more tech-based students, that maybe you have an idea in mind that you want to get your work patented. And we actually have a mechanism to do that through the CSU system. It's called Strata. They really focus a lot on Fort Collins, but we have the ability to work with them as well. And so we have the opportunities for you to work with us so we can support you in patenting your ideas. So that's more business and entrepreneurial focus. So definitely think about that as well. Okay. So that was a bit of a whirlwind. That's the big crash course into maps as well. Can I answer any questions for anyone?
How do you get on the newsletter for the MAPS program?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna just show you real quick. I'm gonna X out of here. So I'm gonna show you our website. So CSU Pueblo maps. And of course, you're gonna see campus maps. It's showing up a little quicker now. So it's actually the third thing that you click here. And this is our maps website. Oops, I need to take down Science Olympiad. Okay, good inventory here. But right here is a big red button, right when you land on our main page.
Okay.
Yeah, and that brings you to the legend. And so this is a really nice aggregator of all the resources you could think of within the STEM college. So we have an MLC schedule, SLC schedule, affinity groups, super cool. So Shelby's leading these, where we're really focusing in on Latinx in STEM, women in STEM, first gen in STEM, and LGBTQ in STEM. So these are support groups, and they've been going great so far. It's been great to get students together in this different capacity. But yeah, you see a bunch of resources here. We have shout outs of different folks to get to know within STEM, deadlines for things. Yeah, all sorts of good stuff. So we're really trying to build this up as a key resource for STEM students to kind of learn what's going on.
And is that where the application for the Foundry is going to be when it comes up?
Yeah, the Foundry, I will put it as a big red button on here. If you go to the STEM Foundry as well, we have the different projects and things listed here. This application, if you click it, it's just going to say it's not open right now. It'll open later this spring semester, but I'll keep that for the application link there. And then if, as always, if anybody has questions about joining research, you want to learn more about projects, I'm happy to put you either to talk with you directly or put you in touch with Dr. Jim, who can really speak to all the different projects and opportunities.
Very cool. And then do you care if I share these slides with my students?
Please, I hope you do.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any last words, any questions before I hop off?
No, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Very welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I will hop off. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Abby.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks all. Yeah, bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, so we'll be switching directions here and we'll go into the study skills part of our workshop. Go ahead and share this real quick. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. So study skills to be successful. We all know that studying is a huge part of getting the grades that you want in your classes. And it's very important if you want to pass your test. Good study habits are important because studying helps you to remember your topics and builds knowledge and understanding of topics. And then engaging with the topics is proven to help you remember the information for later. So if the more often that you review your material, the more likely that you're going to understand it and then remember it when it's time for your test. Studies have also shown that people who review their notes before test get higher grades than the people who didn't take notes or didn't study. Studying also helps you develop problem-solving skills and allows you to figure out new information. So by going in and studying on your own and viewing different types of problems, it helps you to develop those skills. And those skills are very useful when you go into the workforce. They'll look for study skills, research skills, and problem-solving skills as well. Some basic rules for studying. You should always set some time specifically for studying. And the reason you do this is by setting that time, you are making space for it since it's important. So I like to schedule it out in advance and just make sure that I'm studying during that time. You also want to make sure that your study area is quiet and distraction-free. Separate your study time for each class, and then make sure your notes are complete. So it's important to take notes in your classes and complete them because it's hard to study effectively if you don't remember what the notes were about. You also should be reviewing your notes frequently after taking them to make sure that you remember the information. Make sure you write down anything that you have questions about or need clarification on so that you can reach out to your professor, ask that question in class. You also want to stay organized, and that's very helpful in studying because it helps you to study more effectively. So I like to have different notebooks for different classes or different folders for different sections of a course if you have lots of printouts to try and help keep things organized by section or by class. I'd also recommend taking breaks just to avoid feeling overworked. I would take a short break every 30 minutes to an hour. And it's also important to get your blood flowing sometimes. If you guys went to the yoga workshop, she showed you some stretches that you can do in the office or between your your study sessions, and those help. Or if you can, I would get up and do some jumping jacks or go for a light walk, because the exercise is a great way to increase your alertness and also your motivation. And then you also want to prepare your space. So make sure that you have water, a snack, I would do good lighting, and then all of your study materials in front of you. And lastly, you want to try to avoid multitasking. Although it may seem like you are getting more work done, you're less likely to remember the information for a class if you're multitasking. So this is like going between classes or stopping to, I don't know, do the dishes or texting on your phone. Try and only focus on the one thing that you are really trying to study on. The next thing we'll go over is the study cycle. So before class, you should be previewing the information. I would recommend skimming the chapter and the objectives, or reviewing the syllabus to kind of see what you're going to be going over in class. The next one's really important. You guys should all be going to class, taking good notes in there, and then participation is key here. You're going to want to participate in the lecture, ask any questions, be present. And then after your class, I would recommend reviewing your notes within 24 hours just to keep that information fresh in your mind. And then review the information several times between your classes and connect the information to real life applications. The last one is testing, and this is just to test yourself. It's asking if you know the information well enough to teach it to others. That's the true test of whether or not you know something, is if you can teach it to someone else. Or you also want to look at if you're using effective study methods. So if you're going over all of this and you're still not understanding it, you might want to look at your study methods in more depth and see if there's a different one you could try to be more successful. So these are some of the different ways that you could study. I personally like to set a timer. I set a timer for like 15 to 20 minutes, and it's a great way to stay focused. And then it's also a great way to remember to take those breaks. As Abby mentioned, tutoring is also a great resource. So you can get help in your courses for free with the CSU Pueblo tutoring centers that she mentioned. Study groups are also great because different people have different strengths. So what you don't know, someone else in the study group might know, and vice versa. And then flashcards are great for quick memorization of terms and dates. Reviewing your notes helps to solidify what you learned in class. And then having a friend quiz you is really helpful before exams and quizzes. We'll go further into study groups. So study groups are great because people with different backgrounds and ideas bring different knowledge to the group with them. And what you might struggle with, the person next to you could be great at, and you could learn from them. You can also test your knowledge by showing others how to do a problem or explaining a subject, or other people can test your knowledge or quiz you on terms. So I would definitely recommend getting a group together if you're able to. And lastly, I know that procrastination and cramming are sometimes necessary if you put off studying for too long, but I would try and avoid it if you're able to. I would just recommend setting away time to study, even if it's just 10 to 15 minutes. And most of the time, the hardest part is just sitting down and getting your stuff ready. And after that, you might actually feel more motivated to get more stuff done. I also recommend finding a study buddy and surrounding yourself with people who are motivated to get their assignments done and who will hold you accountable. I also like to reward yourself. So if you finish your assignment, you can watch TV or go for a walk or do whatever would be a reward for you. I also think it's important to schedule your study time and just stick to that, whether it's like every Tuesday afternoon or every Thursday morning. But find a time in your schedule that works for you and then do that every week so it's consistent. And lastly, I know this one's hard, but we will have a Setting Healthy Boundaries workshop on the 27th. But protect your time. You guys are in college for a reason, and you guys are here because you want to accomplish your goals. And studying is going to get you those grades in your courses. And your friends will understand if you have to say no. So make sure that you're protecting your time for studying. And we'll do a quick review, but it is important to find a way to study that works for you. So I would definitely recommend trying a few of those methods. And you guys can always come talk to me if those aren't working or if you need help figuring out what method of studying might work. It's also important to set away that time and protect that time, and then study for one class at a time and avoid multitasking. Remember to review your notes frequently and stay organized. And then I would also recommend, if you exchange numbers with your classmates, just in case you miss a class period, they can fill you in on what you missed. Does anyone have any questions?
Don't believe so.
No questions? Well, thank you guys all
No
for
questions from
coming.
me.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Me too.
You
Thank
too.
you, Rian.
Thanks. Bye.